Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rig, and in this channel we discuss marketing tips, tricks and strategies that can help tech companies grow. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe for more content. In today's video, we'll be talking about the careers that are opening up for B2B marketers and how you can benefit from it. I believe that there are some fundamental shifts happening in B2B buying. And if you understand them, it can give you a massive leg up in your career. So take notes and let's get started. It cannot be denied that B2B companies overinvest in sales. They've been doing it for several years now. And that's because they think that marketing does not do a good enough job at moving the needle forward. And rightly so, maybe. It's a vicious cycle where the company gets marketers to help sales reps talk to more people, and marketing is forced to only look for people that sales teams can close tomorrow. They don't do any real marketing or create demand. They are only focused on collecting leads and filling a number. And over time, this also affects the productivity of sales reps, as they waste their time trying to sell to people who are not ready to buy. And the more this happens, the more there's pressure on marketing to prove results. And since the only way to do that is to collect more leads, the cycle continues. Nobody changed anything until now, because there was no incentive to do it. The model was also nice because it reinforced the belief that B2B companies have that marketing is less important than sales. Now here we are in 2022, where things have changed completely. With businesses going through a tough time and the world facing an economic downturn, companies are very conservative in their decision making. Many are having spending freezes. Nobody wants you to cold call them. It's considered insensitive and you might even be blacklisted. So all the enterprise outbound sales that your sales team was doing suddenly doesn't work anymore. And most B2B companies don't know what to do next. Plus, during this phase, consumers have made most of their purchases online. And they have become accustomed to doing this. These habits are now ingrained in consumers, and it's less likely that they want to go back. This means that more and more of digital selling is going to happen online, and customers would want to purchase software without needing to talk to sales reps. And sooner or later, all B2B companies will see this. And from the over-reliance of sales, B2B companies will have to move towards a more balanced functions across product, sales, marketing, and customer success. And here's the best part. The role of marketing in B2B companies is only going to increase from this point. And moreover, a lot of excess BDRs and SDRs are going to be pushed back into the market. Also, since buyers now want to execute the buying process on their own, a lot of focus is going to be on educating customers and empowering them to be able to do this. This means that marketers cannot use the MQL model anymore, and they have to learn how to create demand, collect customer insights, and operationalize them inside of their buying journey. Let me break this down into 3 things that B2B marketers need to be doing to prepare themselves for this big opportunity that's coming in. The first is to study demand generation. With the impact of sales going down, B2B companies have to figure out another way to reach customers and do more of that activity. And that is going to be demand generation. Learning how to educate customers on the problem your product solves, how they can navigate around it, what are the capabilities of the tool, etc., versus doing push marketing or spamming people with outbound messages. Companies will have to learn how to be at places where customers are already hanging out. This is going to be social media channels, Slack communities, third-party platforms, etc. And is very different from lead generation, where you try to drive all your traffic back to your website. B2B companies will have to focus a lot of their attention on educating customers and initiating conversations where customers are already hanging out. This is different from the lead generation model in that you're not coming to customers only when they are looking for something, which is what most B2B companies try to do with their SEO content. But instead, educating customers around the problem your product solves and creating demand for your services. I have a separate video where I talk about my thoughts on SEO and how you can go about the process. I'll link it somewhere here, you can go watch it later. The second is learning how to operationalize customer insights. So far, B2B companies that wanted to do inbound marketing stuck to doing blogs. The few that cared about social media usually hired an agency and outsourced this to them. But now, a majority of B2B companies will have to invest in demand generation. But the thing is, even as more and more B2B companies realize that they need to be in places where customers are already having conversations, The truth is, only a handful of them are going to win out. And this is also related to a macroeconomic concept of how going forward in the future, there are going to be more and more monopolies. And even though none of us would like it to be that way, unfortunately, that's the sad reality. And companies that are going to win in their respective niches are the companies that will listen to customer conversations and find out gaps in the market. Because sooner or later, everyone will have to move to demand generation. But some will do it because there is no other option, and only a few will understand the mindset shift needed to make the change. And that's because demand generation is not a task. With more competition than ever before, and the world going through a recession, by the way, I don't know why we are still debating whether there's going to be a recession or not. I think we are already in one. So with this economic downturn and more competition than ever before, you have to do things differently, which means that companies who just outsource this thing to an agency will have a lot of problems. The real point of doing demand generation and educating customers, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Slack communities, whatever platform you choose, is to listen to customer conversations and be around them. There's so much that you'll learn by just being in these communities. And you'll miss out on a lot if you just make it a forcing function without really setting up the foundation needed for success. And by that, I mean that the leadership really has to take charge of creating demand. I'm surprised by the number of companies who come to me and say, hey, we would love our CEO and CMO to be involved in creating these social media content, but they're just too busy. Because what I hear is not that the leadership of the company is too busy, but that they just don't prioritize these things inside of their company. So we as B2B marketers have two things that we have got to do. The first is to go find companies that get marketing and work for them. Because otherwise, no matter what you do, the company is not going to move forward, and so is going to be your career. And I absolutely love this quote from Dave Gerhardt where he says, life is too short to work for a CEO who doesn't get marketing. So think about that for a while. The second is, once you have found a company that gets marketing, you have to run demand generation and collect customer insights. Again, collecting insights is one thing, and knowing how to operationalize that inside of your company is another. You'll have to learn both. Again, I have extensive videos where I talk about these. I'm going to link all of them down below or somewhere around here. You can go watch them later. The third is being a better business professional. When you are a demand generation specialist, you have to do things differently. You can't just sit around and collect a bunch of leads that nobody is going to ever ask you about. It doesn't work that way. And so you'll have to learn how to analyze qualitative data. And I personally think that B2B marketers overemphasize on quantitative data. And when you shift to demand generation, you really have to move all your attention to qualitative instead of the quantitative. When you are running demand generation and putting out content on Slack communities, third-party channels, and places where customers are already having conversations, your content and the data about it needs more context. So how many likes you get on a particular comment or post isn't a very good metric, especially for B2B, because your audience is very small and defined. If you put quantitative data as the primary focus, then you might consistently just post out or put out content that's generic stuff and is not related to the pain points that your customers have. And I think I posted about this on my LinkedIn profile very recently. So if you're not following me there already, then you might want to consider that. And quantitative data poses a lot of problems, because it's not just about the data, it's also about the story that you attach to the data. With quantitative insights, it's very easy. These are the number of likes that I had, these many people who were interested in the things, etc., etc. But with qualitative data and building a narrative around qualitative insights, that's really a skill, and you have to learn that. You should be able to put together your qualitative insights and present what are we doing, why are we doing it, and where we are going with this. And you also need to be very clear on what is happening inside of the company. How do my numbers look like? And if we are doing lead generation, how do we make the transition to demand generation? Do I want more budget and time to do these demand generation activities? How do I convince my executives about this idea? Is it a good idea to go and approach senior leadership right away, or should I wait 3 months and collect some data before going and doing this thing? And all of this requires you to have a business acumen, to understand qualitative insights, and most importantly, how to build a narrative around that. So as we move forward in 2022, the best B2B companies are not going to look for marketers who can do marketing things. They are going to look for business professionals who understand and can execute marketing. And the difference is that most B2B marketers today know the tactical stuff. They know how to do copywriting. They know how to run Google Ads. They know how to run email campaigns. And hey, let's face it, tactics are easy to figure out. Just come on LinkedIn and type copywriters. You will see at least 100 copywriters in your area. And at least 40 of them might have some good case studies and might have written content for a product similar to that of yours. And same thing with any other marketing function you are looking at. There are a lot of generalist marketers out there who can do organic and inorganic pretty well. But what is difficult to find out is marketers who understand business as well as they do strategy, so that they can piece together everything, build a vision, and help the company move forward. And here's the thing, once you understand business and strategy, tactics become very easy. Once you're sure about the offer that you have, the customers you are targeting, what message truly resonates with them, and how to go about the process, how long do you think it will take for you to get a landing page up and start running ads on them? So those were my ideas. Study demand generation, know your customers, and become a business professional. If you made it so far into the video, I want to thank you for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. And if you're on LinkedIn, I would love to connect with you there as well. And once again, I put a lot of effort into making these videos. So if you found this content insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe. This was Ray, and I'll see you in the next video.